What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Absolute Auction Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Miner, and with me tonight is my good friend. He's back. It's Adam Segal. He's back from vacation. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, how are you, Ryan? Good to be back.
Oh man, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Mark is out tonight, so he had something else going on. Couldn't get with us, and busy week. You know, we have lives outside of this, so
Sure.
but it's good to have you back, Adam. You know, what can I
Thank
say?
you. Yep, I was on vacation, traveling around Mexico for about a week, and great weather. We went to San Miguel de Allende and spent a few days there, and then we went to Guanajuato. And both cities were just amazing, and I highly recommend, especially San Miguel de Allende, if you have never been. It is a beautiful, beautiful city with amazing history.
Nice. Yeah, Mexico's beautiful. I haven't been there. Like last time I was there I got married in 2010, so that was the last time I was there.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Cancun and Playa del Carmen. Very
Nice.
beautiful areas. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It was hot because we got married in August, so we were there around the end of August time, so it was even hotter yet. But definitely recommend people going to Mexico if they get the opportunity. I'm sure you do too. I mean, you were just there, and I feel like you were just there last year too, or maybe a couple years ago.
I was, yeah. My mom and her husband retired down to Baja, so I go down there every once in a while and visit them. They are about 90 minutes north of Cabo, right on the Sea of Cortez. So beautiful, beautiful area.
Man, I am jealous. Hey, do your parents want another son at all? You know, I make a good one. I could be their East Coast son if they're looking for one. All right. Well, follow us. Follow me at Ryan_FFB. Follow Adam at Always Auctions on Twitter. Follow the show at FF Auction Pod. And be sure to like and subscribe below. Please, please, it helps us. And Adam, today we turned over subscribers today. So I think we're doing something right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to see that, people are enjoying the show, and we're getting to talk about auctions and fantasy football in general, and it's just great to see all the support and just all the likes and comments from our friends and viewers and the on the interwebs. So thank you guys very much for all your support. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. And tonight is the last night that we will be doing a secret word for the Listener League.
Mm-hmm.
We were still discussing the date, and I were kind of bouncing it back and forth the other day. So it's looking like around the end of the month, based on how it's going to go, based on our schedules.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be looking at that. So listen for that secret word tonight. Be sure to email it to us, absoluteauctionpodcast@gmail.com. And we have a fun episode tonight. Like, this is one that we've been talking about since since we actually started putting the sheet together of what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight we're doing flag plants.
Yep.
And when it comes to flag plants, it's like, players we're high on, players that we love, players that I almost like to say I'm not leaving my draft without, but to a certain point, I'll leave them to go somewhere else if their cost gets too high.
Mm-hmm.
So to kick it off, what was a good one to start with, I wonder, because we have 6 good flag plants tonight, people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go with one that I know I like this one a lot, Adam. I'm gonna kick it off to you right off the bat. This is one that I like, and he's definitely a great player, and that's Deshaun Watson. Adam,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you want to plant your flag on Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, well, first, let me start off with a little caveat. This, for Watson, it's specifically for Superflex leagues. And for right now, Watson's current AAV in Superflex is only $10, which in and of itself is pretty alluring. So what really attracts me to Watson this year is kind of just the Browns team in general. The Browns averaged 70 plays per game last season, which was first in the NFL. And we all know that Cleveland not only has one of the best offensive lines in the game, but also one of the best defenses. And that pretty much adds up to put Watson in a great position to succeed and to be on the field a lot. He averaged just over 15 fantasy points a game in the 6 games he played last season. And he averaged 23 and a half rushing yards a game, which was nearly identical to Patrick Mahomes' rushing stats. So if you play in a Superflex league, keep Watson on your radar. I think at worst, he'll be a solid QB2 that could easily become a major value and quarterback one.
Yeah, man, I love him a lot. Like in one of my drafts, where like we're still drafting right now, I
Mhm.
got him as my QB3 because I like the rushing upside he has.
Yeah.
And a couple years ago, he came out and he looked horrible. Last year, he was looking pretty good. He started out good,
Mhm.
and then the injury just took him right out. And to see like he's bounced back, let's see what he can really do. Like just the value right there alone just
Mhm.
seems great, especially in super flex. Like I don't even mind getting him as a QB2. Like if I'm going like later QBs, like I'm going outside the top 12, I don't mind pairing him up with someone else, like say like him and Justin Herbert, and try to
Yeah.
play the matchups just to see how it bounces out, because there's a possibility that Deshaun Watson could come back as a top 3 quarterback this season. I mean, you got
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy now. You
Mhm.
got Amari Cooper, David Njoku. I mean, you have plenty of weapons there.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I think the Browns' offense in general is kind of being overlooked, like as a whole. And all reports seem to suggest that the Browns are going to be pretty pass heavy this season, which again just favors Watson. And he had a really great rapport with Amari Cooper, who I also think is kind of being slept on this year a little bit in auctions. I think he's like a low end wide receiver too, but he's being priced right now more of like a wide receiver three. So yeah, I mean, I think things are looking really good for Watson. From just a fantasy perspective, it would not surprise me at all if he ends up being like just a major, major value this year for fantasy drafts.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I don't even know what else I can even say on it, because I think we pretty much wrapped that one up.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go to my favorite one, and this is a guy I've been targeting a lot in drafts,
Mhm.
and it's a tight end, Adam. Which, as you said before, tight end's crazy deep this season, and I'm 100% agree with you. And my tight end, I'm planting my flag on this year, is Pat Freiermuth. Now you look at Pat Freiermuth; he's going outside the top 12 compared to fantasy pros, going
Mhm.
at tight end 13 in ECR. But what I like too in our auctions here, outside the top 10, and also comes in at number 14 at $2.36 on average
Mhm.
auction value. So not only is he under the likes of Jake Ferguson, who's just a little over $5, Dallas Goedert, who's at number 12 at 350. Getting a dollar or two tight end here in an offense that has all new quarterbacks, just lost Deontay Johnson,
Mhm.
has George Pickens as a wide receiver one, Roman Wilson, if you wide receiver two. This is the type of offenses I like to attack, where I see the tight end being the number 2 receiver here. And that's when I see in Pat Freiermuth right now, because we got to remember, just a couple years ago, he was a tight end one.
Yeah.
He wasn't the tight end one, but he was a tight end one. And last year, he stumbled. He became more of a tight end two with weekly upside. But we all knew how the Pittsburgh Steelers offense was with Kenny Pickett and stuff. So it wasn't anything enjoyable. We hoped for the best. It sucked. It wasn't fun. But this year, I feel like the hate's going too far with him. And he's definitely a tight end I'm worth, like, I value getting, especially for a dollar or two. I mean, to me, I'm not really wasting any money or any bench spots. It's a well valued bench spot to me. Well, how do you feel about Pat Freiermuth?
Yeah, I mean, I really like him. I mean, he's a guy that if you're sort of um, not really punting on the position, but if you're someone who's going to wait in your auctions and kind of get you know one of the last guys, he's a great bet. I mean, like you said, his really his real only competition right now, is Pickens. So I think he's in a great position to catch a lot of passes. I think the Steelers' offense is going to be better than they were last year. They were just atrocious. Um, yeah, I really like him. For his price, you can do a lot worse. And like you said, you always want to try to target a tight end who's going to be at worst the number 2 pass catcher. And right now, assuming Brandon Ayuk doesn't get traded to the Steelers, it's probably going to be Freiermuth. So yeah, I like that a lot. Definitely a good pick late in fantasy drafts and auctions this year for sure.
Yeah, that's funny that I think you bring up Brandon Ayuk. I'm getting so tired of hearing this banter. Like, I really don't think he's going anywhere, people. I
Yeah.
think he's going to stay there. San Francisco's all in. You have Brock Purdy on a rookie contract.
Mm-hmm.
You have Deebo Samuel, who you can't afford to trade because no one wants him at that contract. I think it's like $25 million this year just to move him. That a team would have to eat. You have George Kittle already there. You have a solid defense. They're all in right now. They're pushing for that title. He is not being traded. Please stop with the rumor mills.
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of segueing into something else, but yeah, I mean, I don't think San Francisco's trading him. They have no reason to. They have all the leverage. I don't think Ayuk is going anywhere this year, but yeah, I mean, but just again, back to Pittsburgh, there's really no one else there other than an unproven rookie and George Pickens. So yeah, I mean, I like the pick. I think he's a really good back end tight end one who potentially could finish in like the top 5 or 6. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities at all. And I don't think that wouldn't shock me.
No, because he still has that like tight end overall one like finish like upside weekly because week 12 last season he had 11 targets against Cincinnati. He finished with 9 receptions, 120 yards. Good enough for 21 fantasy points. He finished as a tight end 1 at that week. But I mean, other than that, it's like it's a lottery ticket. You're hoping for the best. You put him in your lineup. You're like, okay, he put up 120 yards that week. What happened the next week? 29 yards off, 5 targets, 3 catches, 18 yards after that. Like it's not looking very promising. But we got to remember too, he was coming off a hamstring injury, and we know those hamstring injuries can tend to linger.
Yep.
And he was especially used more as a blocker. So to get him there this late, it's like, okay, give him a chance. Let's see what happens. And if not, guess what? I move on. All right, Adam, then we're going to come back to, I'm going your favorite team. I think you know who I'm going to bring up right here, right now, because I do like this wide receiver, and that's Romeo Doubs.
Yeah.
Adam, you're planting your flag. Tell me more about planting your flag on him.
Yeah, I was really high on Doubs last year too, and right now he's only $1, so he is just an amazing value, which again is tonight's secret word, value. So let's talk a little bit about Doubs. So the Packers ran 99% of their plays last year in either 2 or 3 wide receiver sets, and Doubs was on the field on an average of 76% of the time, which is really good. He also averaged 11 fantasy points a game, and I think you can easily slide him into your flex spot. And for a guy that plays on a team that had the 3rd most passing touchdowns in 2023, a $1 or $2 bid on Romeo Doubs at the end of your draft could provide a massive return on investment. This is like a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, especially like the wide receivers there in Green Bay. Jaden Reed goes at the highest value.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Christian Watson after that.
Yep.
But I'm trying to pull up right now and see exactly what his value is in the AAV, which you can find over at fffaceoff.com. Adam does a really good job with the AAV where he has 1 QB and Superflex. Let's see. Am I going too far? I think I went too far. There's no way.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I know Jaden Reed right now is, like you said, he's the most expensive. Then I believe it's Watson, who again he's not very expensive, but Doubs is really the one who isn't getting any love right now, especially in auctions. And I just think that's like crazy because if you go back and you look at like there's how the Packers ran their offense, they again pretty much ran only 2 and 3 wide receiver sets. Doubs was on the field for the majority of the time. It was basically him and Watson when he was active. Reed only played, pretty much in 3 wide receiver sets. He didn't play at all pretty much, in 2 wide receiver sets. So if you're going to draft a Packers wide receiver, honestly, I think it's got to be either Doubs or Watson. They're probably the best bets to be on the field the most, and Doubs is the cheapest right now. And again, they had the 3rd most passing touchdowns last year. I don't think that's going to change. I think they're going to be another, high octane offense. Love is an ascending quarterback. And again, $1 or $2 on potentially the number 1 wide receiver on that kind of a team with that offense, like sign me up all day.
Right? Like it just sounds too good to be true. Because like looking at Jaden Reed, he was in at wide receiver. I just had it and then it just went blank on me. Wide receiver 34 for a price of $9.71 on average. But he went as high as $15 and as low as $4. So the value there really jumps a lot. And then you look at the likes of Christian Watson, who comes in as the next wide receiver, and he's at $4.43. He's gone for as little as $1, Adam. $1.
Yeah.
But also has gone as high as 15. And just like you said with like Romeo, I'm still scrolling. He is there at wide receiver 61. AAV $1.36.
Yeah.
He's been drafted 14 times. Minimum $1. What do you think his max was if his average is $1.36?
3, maybe 4 at the most.
4 at the most. You nailed it. You nailed that one right on the head, dude. $4 max is what he went for. So everyone's out on him. Adam's in on him. You guys should be in on him too. I love it, Adam. I love it.
Yeah.
I might be actually. I mean, I'm a huge Christian Watson fan. I think he's going to bounce back just because of the injury. And I see him doing the wide receiver 2 sets with Romeo Doubs, and then Jaden Reed being the odd man out. I'm also with you on that. After I seen your tweet about it, I'm like, all right, I'm in on this. It's either going to be Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs. I'm not going anywhere else.
Yeah.
But bouncing back, Adam, you know this guy. My favorite quarterback. I'm trying to get him every draft I can. I've been on him all summer long. I've been pounding the table for him, as we like to say.
Yeah.
And that is Kyler Murray. Going outside the top 5, he just got Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the most athletic wide receiver prospects out there in the longest time. Upgraded offensive line. Trey Benson. They're putting weapons around him. You know, you have the rushing upside alone right there is what I love about him. You know, he's a gunslinger. Like, he can move the ball around, but he can also move with his feet. He was averaging about 38 yards a game prior to injury. So, you know, you're getting 3.5, 4 points a game alone just on the rushing upside. And he has the upside to also get you 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. You know, people forget he was a baseball player also. Look at Patrick Mahomes. He is a baseball player. He doesn't have the rushing upside like Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray has a possibility to finish back in that top 5, top 3 possibility, because prior to the last 2 years where he got injured, Kyler finished as QB3 and QB4. So to get the QB7 on average, QB8, it's a hard one to pass up, especially with the upgraded offensive line. How do you feel about him as a quarterback? Are you fine going with him as your only QB in a 1 QB league?
Yeah, I mean, I think Murray's a great choice. I think that Arizona is probably going to be in a lot of shootouts this year, which always bodes well for quarterbacks, and especially if they're trailing. You know, he's going to use his legs a lot. Arizona had one of the worst, I think, like total defenses last year. I mean, they're just not a great defensive team. They might be a little bit better this year, but they're just overall not a great defensive team. And again, that bodes well for Murray. They're going to be in a lot of shootouts. They're going to need to come back. You know, they're going to be trailing. He's going to be running a lot. You know, you mentioned Harrison. They've got Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, their other, young ascending wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, I think Arizona's offense is in a really good spot. I mean, I think we've talked about it on almost every show this year. Again, you're not just investing in one player, you're investing in the entire team. And I think Arizona is another offense that auction drafters should be investing in. They're set up to score a lot of fantasy points. And with Murray at the helm, especially, I think he's like locked in as a QB1. And if he's someone that, if quarterback is something that you wait on, we've seen it in some of our auction drafts where he goes kind of late and you can get him at a really good price in auctions, even at Superflex, to be honest.
Yeah, like I think I've had him go as low as, like $10 in one league.
Yeah,
in a Superflex. just to see him go that low, I'm like, I cannot pass up this deal. You got to be kidding me. Like, why would you let him go that low? It's like, people, you guys should not be sleeping on Kyler Murray. Like, I'm not. I mean, am I missing something? Like, this, are people seeing something I don't see? Because I just don't see it. Like, I really have him over CJ Stroud. I like CJ Stroud a lot, but he just doesn't have that rushing upside, you know? And when it comes to fantasy, I love the rushing upside.
Yeah.
And the 65 games that Kyler Murray has played, how many rushing touchdowns do you think he has, Adam?
Ooh, 65 games?
Yeah.
I'll
Let's
say
see how
maybe,
close you get to it.
let's see, maybe 20.
Close. 26
Okay.
rushing touchdowns he's had over the 65 games. So just the rushing touchdown upside there alone, it's something fun to have. He's like a wannabe Josh Allen. You know, West Coast Josh Allen is the way I like to put him at. At half the size.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a good one to get there. Yep. Definitely love Kyler Murray this year. I think I've got him in both my auction leagues so far.
Good.
I think I might do another league, and I might get him again. So, all right, Adam. Now you're on to one. You're one of my favorite ones. I like this one because a lot of people like him, and definitely a good running back. He's, there's a new running back in town though that signed. That guy is running back's name Zach Moss, but you're not choosing Zach Moss this time.
Nope.
You're going with Chase Brown here. Adam, what makes you want to plant your flag on Chase Brown?
Yeah, so I think if you are looking for a player who could be this year's version of Rachaad White and costs less than $5 in both one quarterback and superflex formats, that could be Chase Brown this year. And last season, Joe Burrow threw to his running backs 22% of the time, which was tied for fifth most. And if you've been following some of the beat writers on Twitter, you'll know that Brown has absolutely been just the darling of Bengals training camp all offseason. He's actually been getting most of the first team reps, and the coaches have just been raving about him almost every single day. They just can't say enough about this guy. And the Bengals, like the Cardinals we talked about just a moment ago, the Bengals were one of the league's worst defenses last year. They were just really, really bad. So there should be plenty of pass catching opportunities for Brown. And I think Brown really is like the definition of a low risk, high reward option for fantasy. He can easily outperform Zach Moss, who I don't think is really that great of a running back. Like he's steady, but he's just kind of boring. And Brown could end up being like the permanent starter on a team that with Burrow back should definitely be higher scoring this year than they were last year.
I like it. That whole offense is changing too. Like T. Higgins finally did sign his franchise tag.
Yep.
Jamar Chase still looking for an extension. They just signed Mike Gesicki, and I'm hearing praise on him. And we know how the whole the old camp talk goes, where everyone's like, "Oh yeah, best shape of his life, We got to be careful." But I like Chase Brown. I'm just a little hesitant on drafting him, just because. Just watch how he played last year with Joe Mixon on the field. He was in there, and he had one big play, and they pulled him right out and put Mixon back in. So to see Chase Brown there that high and plant your flag, I'm a little hesitant on it. I mean, yeah, I hear the coaches praise and stuff, but I want to see it on the field. And when we talk about seeing it on the field, Adam, I'm going to wrap it up here, man, with my flag plant here. My favorite player. I have his jersey. I'm not wearing it. It's not behind me either. It's Detroit Lions' very own Jameson Williams. Now, everyone's in on Sam Laporta. Everyone's in on Jahmyr Gibbs. Everyone's in on David Montgomery. Everyone's in on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Everyone's in on Jared Goff. The truth of the matter is, can you be in on Jameson Williams? He had what everyone likes to say, a failure of a career. He hasn't gone over 600 yards offense. He hasn't caught that many balls. He's had the targets, but has never turned anything in with them, But you saw it later on in the season and then the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers, rushing the ball, catching the ball, getting the touchdowns. Like, he has the speed. And just like we said with Chase Brown, I've been hearing nothing but praise about him at camp right now. He's catching everything. He's outrunning everyone. He's doing everything the coaches want him to do. And what people tend to forget, remember like the term third-year breakout?
Mm-hmm.
That seemed like a thing of the past. Like, and all these rookie wide receivers are breaking out, year after year after year. It's like year one, if not year one, well, I think he's got the potential to break out this year. It's always year two. So like the year one, year two thing, we've all been spoiled with.
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing this year three breakout, we're like, oh, is that becoming a thing again?
All right.
Yes, it is becoming a thing again. This offense is going to be lit. Like,
yeah.
If I can't get Jameson Williams, I'm targeting anyone possible I can. And I'm not just saying that as a homer. When it comes to that offense, it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, it comes to, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say the Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm.
These are offenses I like to try to attack the pass catchers with, just because I can see these offenses going on to the next level. I don't know about the New York Jets. They make me a little nervous, but the Lions are definitely like my favorite type of players to like target, not just as a homer, but also in truth. Adam, how do you feel the same way, or am I on my own boat on this one?
No, I mean, I like Williams this year. The Lions have, I think, like 70-ish vacated wide receiver targets up for grabs. I don't know if Williams is going to get all those, but he's like, I mean, first of all, like he and Gibbs, they're just like super athletic. I think Williams could be like their version of Jahmyr Gibbs, but as a wide receiver, right? Like we saw the Lions use him on jet sweeps, on wide receiver screens, and he just flies. I mean, he's like super, super fast, really athletic. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be like a guy that you can rely on, to get you, 15 fantasy points a game or anything. But he's one of those guys where I think kind of like Romeo Doubs, where you can slide him into your flex on a certain week and he can just explode for, 15, 16 points, a game. I don't know if the consistency will be there week to week, but he's one of those guys, almost kind of like a Tyreek Hill, where he can score like a ton of points any given week and just completely, crush your opponents.
Yeah. Like he's almost like I like to look at him as like a Deebo Samuel Jr.
Yeah.
He's not exactly built like him, but he has the same like mobility, the same maneuvering that he can do, the same like top end speed. Like, you can go from 0 to 100 like no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's one reason. Another reason I like him, I've always been a Deebo Samuel fan. So he's also like another player that I like to compare him to. Yeah, people will knock his size because he's got like skinny legs, skinny arms, but man, when that ball's in his hand, it's like he could either go for 6 or he's going for 6 total yards. You never know what's gonna happen. All right, dude. We finally did our first episode under 30 minutes. What can I say? Like, we talked about this many times about saying, hey, we're gonna try to do this under an hour, do this under 45 minutes. Let's try to knock it a half hour. Here we did it finally.
Yep.
So
I think people will appreciate a nice quick show, to the point, nice and concise, and get a lot of information. I think our supporters will appreciate that.
Yeah, we do it for you people. We don't do it for us. We do it for you. So if you guys have anything else, like if you want to let it, you know what? They do have something else. Let's hear your guys' sleepers or who you're planting your flags on. I want to know. Mm-hmm. Send it in the comments below. Let us hear them. We love to hear them. All right, Adam. Well, that was a fun show, was it not?
Yeah, that was a great show. Yeah, I think people really like to hear these kind of episodes where we talk about like, opinions on players and, their AAV, who we buying, who we're selling, and who we're planting our flags on. These are good episodes. I like these ones.
Yeah. And then next week, we got a fun episode coming your guys' way. We're going to be doing a super flex mock. So if you want in, let us know in the comments what your sleeper ID name is. We'll try to send you the link if we can find you. Try to find us on Twitter. All right, Adam.
All right.
We'll catch you on the flip side. Okay, actually see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
All right, guys. This is the Absolute Auction Podcast. We are signing off. See you next week.
Thanks for watching.